Mrs. with Find Your Crazy, and welcome to another Tip Tuesday. This is a time when we share our favorite tips on how we raise a big family, how we put food on the table for 7 people, and our favorite tips on living small with a large family. Today, I want to refer back to something that I talked about with our Command Central. So in our last video, I shared with you how important having a centralized location is for a family on the road, or really a family of any size at any time. Just having a place where everything is accessible to every family member, from your calendars to your coupons to your campground maps to your chores, all the different things that are super handy to keep your family unified and in a space where everyone has good communication. And so one of the things I talked about was my menu plan. And I'm going to tell you the truth, I am not a great menu planner. I'm not a great cook or chef. It has been a struggle since I've had children to know how to cook meals, what to do about menu planning, and how to answer the question every single day, what's for breakfast, what's for lunch, and what's for dinner. And as our family grew, those questions got bigger and bigger and more frequent. And I felt like I was going to lose my mind most days. And so I wanted to share with you something that's worked for us so far. It's a fairly new system that I've implemented since we've been on the road, because for us, it's very difficult when we're not on a schedule and a rhythm every single day that's the same. And so one of the things that has been very helpful is a weekly menu plan, but it's a little bit more than that. It also helps for me to get the kids involved in cooking the meals and cleaning up the meals and coming up with the meals. That's the key, that you don't end up doing everything yourself and getting frustrated and overwhelmed. And so what I decided to do is to sit down and ask every member of our family who eats dinner and meals with us what their favorite meals were. So for us, we have 5 young children who travel with us, and Jay and I. Well, that's easy because that makes 7 days, and there are 7 days of meals in a week. And so I asked each person what their 4 favorite meals were that I cooked. What are their favorites? What do they love? Sky's the limit. If you didn't have a budget, and if it didn't matter where we were, what would you want to eat? And so I wrote those down. That gave me enough for me to have 4 weeks with one child having every day that had his favorite or her favorite meals. I asked them what their favorite breakfast, their favorite lunch ideas, and their favorite dinner ideas. And they were able, with my help, to come up with our menu plan for the month. And so what I did was I took those ideas, no matter what size your family is, you can repeat them, or some people can have 2 days a week, or others can have 3 days a week. Whatever you want to do, you come up with the way that you want to do it. But for me, I took this 7-day calendar, and Jay put this together for me, and each child has a day. So Joseph is Mondays, and on at the top is his name. And the reason it's his name is because he is my helper for Mondays. That means that Joseph helps me fix breakfast, he helps me fix lunch, and he helps me fix dinner. He also helps me clean up all of those meals. So he is on dish duty to dry the dishes and put them away, and so on throughout the week. So Christopher is Tuesday, Sky is Wednesday, Rosie is Thursday, and Ruthie is Friday. And then Jay and I take the other 2 days, or whoever is available. And sometimes we eat out on those days on the weekends as well. And so I went ahead and had each person come up with their ideas for breakfast. And I put them on this list with little boxes to the side. So this really is my whole month. So I have the ideas for breakfast, I have the ideas for lunch, and then I have the 4 different meal ideas for dinner. And then I just put a check by the one that fits our week. It's not promised that it's going to be a certain week, but it gives me an idea of what I want to have on Mondays that Joseph would enjoy, what I would have on Tuesdays that Christopher wants to enjoy. And then I plan my menu for the week, and I write that on my Command Central so that they know, hey, this is what we've chosen for the month, but this is what we're going to have this week. It's really important for a couple of reasons. My tips are on this is, number 1, get your kids involved in the idea process so that when you make dinner, they like dinner. And they may not like every day's dinner, but they know one time during the week, they're going to get a meal that they love. Get your kids and your husband or your wife involved in the decision-making process. It isn't all up to you because you're just going to get frustrated. Number 2, get the kids involved in making the meals. They need to know how to create meals safely, and that's with you by their side. They need to see how to measure. That's math, and that's a really good point. They need to know what ingredients there are and how much it takes to put a meal on the table. They become more grateful, they become proud, and they have ownership in the meals that are prepared. And they are going to be an advocate to the other kids and people in your family that they ought to try it. So make sure you get your kids involved in creating the meals. And then they'll know the meals. When they get older, they'll have a scope of how to create a meal plan, how to get involved in making the meals that they love, and then you've prepared them for when they move out. The third tip I have is get them involved in cleaning up the meals. That kid that's on duty knows that all 3 meals they're in charge of helping clean up the table, they're in charge of vacuuming up the floor, they're in charge of helping me do the dishes, they're in charge of putting everything away. And that gives them some ownership that it doesn't just take putting a meal on the table, but that meal has to be cleaned up before we can move on to something else. And that also frees up the other kids so that I know who's helped, I know which kids have been involved in the process, and I'm able to keep myself accountable, not asking the same kids all the time to do that. So I would encourage you, if you're wondering what's for dinner, if you hate answering that question and you're feeling defeated like I have felt most of the time in my menu planning, I would encourage you to sit around the table and make a plan that works for your family. Get them involved. Let them help you make it and help them learn how to clean up and put things away. That's an important skill that children and adults alike need to know, that meals don't just magically show up, they don't just magically get cleaned up, and they don't just magically get planned. It takes hard work, and that teamwork is going to help everybody to get back out having fun, to the sporting events, and to all the things you really want to be doing instead of sitting behind the stove or sitting behind the kitchen sink. So those are my biggest tips, and you can do that with a small family or a large family. And also, I'll give you the last tip. For me, that's my jurisdiction, and I introduce a new meal almost every week. So you can also have a say that it isn't just kids rule, mom and dad get a say as well, and everybody's happy, everybody's excited, and everybody knows what's for dinner. So I hope you'll join me next week as we answer some other questions that we get all the time, and I share with you some other tips on raising a big family, traveling full time, and how we make life work together.